A very long time ago, not that long, not like Star Wars long, maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, I was talking about why the weekends suck and stuff like that. But I realized after just kind of having some similar experiences since then with people doing stuff that is beyond your control, but then it still affects your content and what you're trying to do and whatnot. That it's really the format of streams that I hate so much, and I'm going to explain it. I'm going to give a whole. I'm not going to talk for that long because, like I said, there's like a weird sort of crutch where, for whatever reason, when I talk about, basically, I can sit here and like not do a stream all day, right? And I'll have no one come and mess with me. No one comes and like says anything at all or anything of that nature. And then I can start streaming, and then someone will just come in here and like try to have some conversation. It is the most aggravating thing in the world to have a video format where I have to be liable for every single thing that happens around me, because someone will complain, oh my God, for 5 minutes, I couldn't hear you because someone put the car on outside and it made a loud noise. And not be able to edit anything out. So whatever happens, happens. And then I'm just supposed to sit there and like want to do more of these because all people get to interact with you in the chat. And then half the time, the usual suspects, the regular people don't even show up. Like when I didn't do any this week, it was so relieving because when I record something, and I've been over this before, you record something on the phone, you can cut it off, whatever. But when I record something on the phone, I can speak for a few minutes, get to my point, turn it off, upload it. There goes my YouTube stuff for the entirety of the day. No, I'm actually I'm kind of pissed because this is part of a running theme where I'll try to find the time during a day to speak to, I guess, what could be considered my audience, and then someone who's completely unaware, or in a lot of cases is aware, but is condescending and doesn't care that much about it, will just come and mess with me or do something that screws up. Like I was in the middle of talking about this election cycle and what's been going on and whatnot. I'm about 7 minutes into that after literally having this person not say anything to me for 2 hours. Like, okay, I can finally stream, I can finally do this. And then, like, what do you want? And then if I go and say, hey, this is why I said Patreon was a desired thing I wanted people to do, because then I wouldn't have to worry about interruptions and noises and whatnot. It's e-vegan. So I'm screwed both ways. I thought it was funny that people like to say if you stream, it causes more engagement, but then it's like, I'm really going to sit here and talk for 40 minutes to get, 10 more views? It's like, come on, man. And, I've been over this before. I do enjoy the interactions with, recognizable users and whatnot, people you've seen before, but it's just the fact that there's some kind of like, and we've been over this before, like the curses and the hexes and the various things that seem unexplainable but happen inexplicably. I'm telling you, I can sit here and like not do anything as far as streaming, right? Have no interruptions at all. But then like the second I start doing it, or for whatever reason when I start doing it, that's when someone comes in and like starts interrupting, and just and it seems like it doesn't matter how long it is, because I thought to myself, okay, if I just make this 30 minutes instead of 40 or 50, I can get, what I have to say out and then not have to worry about anybody coming in and messing with me. Last one, I was 7 minutes into speaking, and then, damn. But again, you have to put up with this because people like this format, and they complain if they don't get it. And I can see where someone would construe that as a minor thing, like, oh, they just knocked on the door, what's the problem? But again, whatever they say, no matter how private it is, gets put out there, and it might be something that I don't want to share. That's one of the problems of not being able to edit this format. Let me say hello to David. Yeah, David, I was doing a political stream and I was about 7 minutes into it, and this person came in and messed it up. They actually blew up another stream I had about 2 or 3 weeks ago where I think I was talking about that guy that like he turned watching a YouTube video into like brain surgery, like that. It was that difficult for him. So I just was like making fun of that. But it was that one was cut off about 20 minutes into it. It's like just a running theme where anytime I do a stream, they come and mess with it. So maybe I'll just do one short today and then maybe one tomorrow and that's it. I don't know, I'm just getting like really kind of burnt out with these because you have people who will complain about the title not being what is stated in the stream, even though you put the title before you do the stream, so you wouldn't even know what's going to happen. Like it's impromptu. Uh, you have a basic idea, but you're not for certain that every single point is going to be matched and made. Whereas if you upload something, you've already had it recorded and you put the title after uploading it. So it's backwards basically, where you put the title and then hope that it is on the subject for the entirety of the time that you speak. Not sure what to upload on my channel. Well, like I said, the news, I know people complain about it, but that was always what I did. Before this relationship stuff, quote unquote, blew up. That was my main thing, and it's great because there's never a dull moment. There's always something that's happening. Not to say that I like all of it, because nobody wants to read about murders and killings and whatnot, but just there's plenty of things to go around. So I never am at a loss of information. Like even if something doesn't happen today, and usually during the weekends, news is slowed down because the politicians really aren't around that much. They're kind of just sitting at home, beating off. It's still preferable to just like not having anything, because you still can go back and say, oh, this happened on Thursday and Friday and whatnot. Don't take things personal. That's what I learned this week. But people's robotic and ignorant actions does irk me a bit. Yeah, like you see me sitting in here talking and like, what do you think I'm doing? And again, like I like to not be superstitious, and I like to not start believing things I don't have proof of. Just and I've said before, I'm Catholic, so I do believe in God, whatever. But just there's like some weird hex where if I do a stream, people come in. If I just sit here and like am to myself, nobody does anything. Like it's almost as if there's some kind of compulsion for stuff to go astray if I'm just doing something that requires me to speak or otherwise articulate what I'm saying. Like it's so weird. I mean, this person could have done this hours ago, which is why when I was like, okay, they're not going anywhere else, so I don't have to worry about them, trying to, because for whatever reason, people can't just leave without saying something to the other person. They have to like have a whole conversation. I would hate that, to like have to notify someone of like just as an adult, going into whatever decade you can think of, have to notify someone of where you're going. Like, I'm heading to, pick up some food. I'm going to the mailbox. I'm planning on taking a jog. So it's not exactly that preferable. But like I said, it always only happens whenever I do a stream. Like that's what I'm thinking, that maybe the only two solutions at this point, if I just start doing streams like really early in the morning, like 5 or 6 o'clock, like the sun is just like I really am tempted to do that, because it genuinely seems like every time we try to do these things during the day, people don't show up. And it does, look, a lot of times people will say, oh, this person's working, they're at school. It's like, look, man, I get the 5-day, work week, school week, whatever, but if it's the weekend and I'm still getting the same number of people, I mean that's the kind of that preaches itself in a different direction. Let's just leave it at that. So I'm not really convinced it's your lack of being able to attend. And look, nobody would blame you for not being able to come to all of them. That's something that I would never get upset over. I'm fully aware of the fact that people have lives outside of my stuff, let alone YouTube. But it's just kind of annoying trying to like do all these little hopping moves where it just seems like it never goes past the point of a few people show up, You speak about something for a little bit. You try to make it quick and condensed because you know that at some point people are gonna like come and they're gonna announce that they're here, and it's aggravating. It's all hell. Just it's one of those things where uh, it's like compromise on top of compromise, and I really don't think these are of any better quality than the uploads I've had. Like as I've said before, with uploads, I get to the point quickly, faster to make, usually not as much hassle to put them out. Like it's not hard to get in a day, whether you're working and going to school, to just in 10 minutes, find a news article, put a camera up to it, talk about it, and then upload it. It's just it isn't. So I feel and understand what you're saying. There are people that you need to ignore because they run on a program like the Matrix. I just don't understand them. Like the last year and a half has, as far as online, because I've been aware people do crazy stuff on the internet all the time, but just as far as online behavior is concerned, it's been some of the strangest stuff I've directly interacted with. Like I never would have thought I'd get blocked for saying hello to someone on a website where me and the person never spoke before. It's not like, oh, we knew each other and I hate you, so let me make sure you can't contact me. This is literally a person who um oh, by the way, and I'm referencing the Snowflake story, or a Snowflake story that upload. That person actually had, after doing that to me, did that to someone else in the same server. So that's their modus operandi. They're now a repeat person. And then the admin had to announce to people, uh, people stop randomly trying to private message people. It's like, well, hell, how if they don't post at all in the thing, what other way are you supposed to get in contact with them other than to send them a message? Like I don't, whatever. People insane. Announce that they're here, as in what? They don't contribute to the stream. They say useless things. No, I mean like I'll do a stream and then as I'm doing it, I'll have someone like come and say something to me, and it's aggravating because like even if you didn't think I was on the phone, which obviously I'm not, I would think basic social skills would say to you, hey, I'm not gonna talk to this person while they're seemingly speaking to someone else or having a discussion about whatever topic with another person. Like I would just think that's something that comes to people, but again, apparently not. You can actually see this same behavior repeated, as far as like the strange stuff people do online. There was a user who was, I think they had some uploads on some website, and like what they said to me is the equivalent of me coming on here and saying, please don't subscribe, when like the whole point of being on YouTube is to get views and subscribers and get a message out and whatnot. Like don't subscribe, don't listen to my message. Like it's the polar opposite of the intent of the site. Like they did that. That's again another one of those things, just like, what? Because again, and I know again is getting redundant. Let me take that word and cast it out into the rain and disown it after having used it so much that it became redundant. They've spent their interaction with me basically rebelling against the principles of the site we were on. It was strange. Let's see. Oh, people outside like stream, like they know you're doing something, but insist on talking to you like it can't wait. Well, you remember well, not you, but I don't know if you recall this. When I did the stream on this person that I asked to watch a video and they turned it into like this big, like that was like, if they should make a movie about that and it should just be called Ultra Lazy or Maximum Sloth or something. Like, cause this person turned watching a not even 20-minute video into a month-long journey chore that he could never get around to. It was insane. But this person came up to the door while I was speaking about this, blew up the stream because, like I said, If someone comes, I don't want what they say to me to be heard on here, so I have to start all over. Um, what I'll start doing is like when they do that, I'll cut out the part I did at the start and then put that up and then record the rest. Like I'm gonna get that. That's gonna be the new way of being lazy. But you know, this person comes up to the door. They're like, "Oh, you know, I just wanted to say hi," and blah, blah, blah. And I thought to myself, "You have my phone number. You could have called me at any point." And this is the same problem with the other one. If you remember, that came over to pick up some gift that another person left and wanted to ask me all these stupid questions about, "Oh, how was your birthday? How have you been?" Like, you could have spoken to me, and like, don't use the fact that you are over here with the intended purpose of interacting with another person to now suddenly pretend like you're so concerned about my well-being and what. And it's like, no, you're fake. You're phony. Because remember, this is the era where it's never been easier to contact someone. You can email a person, you can send them, if you want to go, old school, a letter, Morse code. Uh, you go on their channel online, social media, just any way you can contact this person. And you're going to tell me that the only way, the way I'm supposed to believe a person who's so concerned, their way of contacting me is to not speak to me unless we are physically in front of each other, when you've only come over there for a purpose that does not relate to me. Like, do you get how fake that is? And again, we've had examples. Imagine if uh, I came to your place because your significant other baked me a cake or something, just as an example, right? And I said to you, "Oh, how are you doing? Oh, I've been so worried about you. Oh, how have you been?" Like, I can't be that interested if I didn't call you. I mean, like, remember what happened with the idiot that came over to get the gift? They had my number. They had my well, I don't use Facebook anymore, but they had a Facebook, they had Instagram, all these different ways to contact me, and they chose not to. Not until they showed up to get something else. But again, you're supposed to believe, this is their concern. Yeah, we def have similar, do generally like people and want the best overall, but can't stand behavior of most humans today. Oh man, like I hate going to like when I go to the market, I go with this other person. I keep telling them, let's go up there at like 6 or 7 a.m. or like late at night or something, because I absolutely hate having to go up in any of these different stores where there's loads and loads of people, because they do these, like, and I've said this before. Being around another person isn't a problem for me, personally. I know some people have the issue. It's the fact that when there's so many people around, there's a high chance of a person who does things that are antithetical to what you would like showing up. So, for example, I was at the market last week, and I was sitting here with one of my companions or whatever, just waiting for this other person to get their stuff. And all of a sudden, this guy who might be about my age, maybe a little bit older, whatever, comes up, and he's like doing this one, and I'm sitting there like extending my phone, because you're to yourself basically. You're just sitting here like this, looking at your phone, and all of a sudden like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I mistook you for this other person." And I thought to myself, why the hell would you have to get that close? I mean, like, to give you an example, let's say I'm trying to see if I can show you something. Let's say the computer is my face. You get up like this close to know who the person is. But also, if you and the person actually like each other, couldn't you have just contacted them in a way that didn't involve you bending all over to see if that was them? I was in the market today. I went around. This person comes running out of the aisle and is like, "Oh, I almost hit into you," and like touches my shoulder. And I again, my policy in the Me Too era, it's crazy that, like, if you're a guy, any kind of physical contact you have with a woman is, code for predator. But then if it's a woman, oh, they can feel on you, they can grab all over you, and no problem, no issue whatsoever. Nope. Not a single care or concern in the world. As long as you have a vagina, you can touch and play and feel all day. It's all good. But that's exactly why I hate these different events where there's loads and loads of people. Um, and now I know that will be misconstrued as me saying something negative about the world, but I think I've given a basic general position that if you actually listen to it, you can figure out the motive of. But like I said, whenever I do a stream, it's caught up in the fact that there's so many different things happening during the day. And unfortunately, as I've stated before, my ability to just get on here and speak for however long is mandated by those around me, which is why I was saying, like getting demonetized by YouTube over and over again was so aggravating, because it's like, you go up here and you attempt to have a message, you try to articulate it, some people show up, whatever. And I think that's a fairly decent way of, doing something. But it's like, you guys can use my stuff referring to YouTube, but then I can't get paid for it because you didn't like the title. Like, it's them being weird, man. David says these people go out there way to annoy you because they sense that you have something that they don't. I don't even know about that. It's just I hate going in these different public venues and like having these weird interactions with people. Like, so much of it just it's like I would rather to give you an example, go out of my way to speak with all these different individuals than let's say just, I don't know, go to a market at all. Like, it's just one of those things where I think anytime you have a very large number of individuals, there's going to be cause for trouble, because someone among that crowd or that group is going to have some problems that get pushed onto other people. It's like, this is something you've seen throughout history, or just not history, but like different events. Uh, you look at the Las Vegas shooting, 500 people get injured, 50 plus die. It's like these people only got killed because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. They didn't do anything to that man. He was just insane. And unfortunately had, enough uh, intellect to go and do something of that scale and that magnitude. But it's still a silent testament to why going to these different places with loads and loads of people that you don't know will do you no favors. Like, the only thing where I'd probably go where there's loads and loads of individuals is like maybe it's got to be something where the people have something to lose, right? Like, if you go to Congress, nobody's going to go up in there with some weapon, because they're all trying to make some of themselves. If you go up to, let's say, a group of CEOs, or like a bunch of presidents and prime ministers at a G20 summit, those are different events where the people who are there are not random, entries that have no certified background. These are all top high ranking people that have something to lose if they get to acting crazy enough. So, but yeah, that on top of the streams and like having a hope if someone shows up. Like, I still can't believe I actually did one of these and like no one appeared. It was I keep using the word crazy, but just I was taken aback by it. So, wow. Damn. you know, uh, I think in attempting to give people credit for, just the stuff they have going on outside of the internet, that sometimes I give them too much credit, and sometimes that is, I don't want to say taken advantage of, but I guess taken, for granted, in the sense that, oh yeah, well, this person's not going to do anything that, is their way of doing stuff is going to be affected by the actions of those around. It's like, no, it's going to be, me saying, well, damn, if I'm going to sit here and talk for 50 minutes, nobody's going to watch, what's the point? So that's why I just didn't even bother doing a stream after Monday. I was like, you know what, I'm tired of setting my stuff up and, whatnot. And just getting out of there. David says, is everyone burnt out on the politics? Well, again, I'm not exactly sure, because it's like I don't care about this election cycle all that much, which is why I don't talk about that often, but I do care about certain issues. Like, we just had a strike in Afghanistan that killed a whole bunch of people. So, I'm interested in hearing updates about that. It just depends. Again, I try to, pay attention to what people want on here and give them some semblance of that. And I appreciate those that show up. Just wish that with the streams I could attempt to script it in a way that's not, just me rambling. Because sometimes if I'm talking, whatever I say is interrupted by, let's say, answering a question that someone writes, and I can't foresee what that person is going to type out. Winter Fresh was here earlier and he disappeared after my stream got blown up. Or rather, he showed up at the start of this one and then he disappeared again. We're gonna put up like a missing persons poster for him. Find out where he went, and then maybe after when we find him, we're gonna put like one of those little chips in them, where they track dogs or whatever. Like, you're never not missing one of these streams again. It's gonna be like the end of some slasher movie, except for it's like the fate worse than death, like the and I must scream, like, oh my god, I'm forced to watch this person's stuff all the time now because I didn't show up for a couple of streams. They lost their mind. That actually would be a pretty interesting movie, like some guy that wants to, let's say, become a director and he puts out a script, and then let's say the studio turns down the script, so he decides we're going to make this movie no matter what, and after stealing billions of dollars, he kidnaps a bunch of different actors and makes them like do his movie. I think that would be a decent tale. Sheesh, and to top off the Iran situation, the military is running over their own people. I swear, some people are not human. Well, I've been saying that, since you first appeared on the scene. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was several months ago, actually, but who's counting? People have no problem with completely ignoring the lives of their fellow human being, depending on their circumstance or place of origin. Like, you think if we killed 85,000 children in the U.S. by bombing and starvation, that wouldn't be a national scandal? That's literally 10 times number of people in total that died in 9/11. That would be one, like, arguably considered the greatest tragedy of the last 100 years in the U.S. if it happened over here. So then why is it okay, and why do we turn a blind eye when it happens in Yemen? Because they're brown? Because they're not on U.S. soil? Like, that's what it takes for you to care about somebody. They have to be on your country's territory for you to go, wow, I actually care about you living or dying and being a person. Really? So they're not too concerned. And it's the exact same thing when you look at the situation in Iran. They keep talking about these stupid sanctions and like the whole point of, oh yeah, narcissism, yeah. Well, when you saw what happened with that woman that turned me down on, I think it was Twitter, where she was like, oh, you're a fake friend because when I told you I didn't want to date, you stopped speaking. It's like, no, you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. See, you have the right to, not want to take a friendship beyond, to like romance, but I have the right to say, okay, well then let's not speak ever again. Like, it goes both ways. Like, you can't get all of what you want. And if speaking to me was that important, you would have done the other thing, right? Going back to what I was saying, they've actually, if what is this? It doesn't pay the bills. That's why it's kind of sad to say that. Oh, why they don't care about all these different murders that are happening with our foreign interventions? Yeah, it's not profitable because all these different networks know if I just sit here and whine about Trump for 3 or 4 years, or if he wins another term, 4 more years, I'll be perfectly fine in the clear and I can do whatever I want. And I'll get all this coverage and great ratings because I have all these people who think, once he's out of the White House, everything's going to be wonderful and terrific, even though it sucked balls before he got in, which is why we got him in the first place. So it's all a defeated, thing where they can't really figure out that the circumstance. Like, I would never have thought 3 years ago, like just living, like remembering vividly what stuff was like before Trump got elected, that people would look back at that and go, yeah, this was a good period, a great time. Yeah, it was so wonderful. It's like, I get that you hate him, but let's not lionize the era prior to him as if it, like he magically transformed the world into a state of darkness, like when he got elected, Thanos snapped, and then like the U.S. came into turmoil. Like, no, it's the complete opposite, where there was a crappy circumstance that, in some people's view, including my own, has stayed crappy over the last 2 years and is going to be crappy for the next 10 or 20, depending on, if the people as a collective continue to make things terrible. So it's them deciding to not really pay attention to stuff. So I can see where people are going to sleep and hitting the hay and putting their little blankies on. So thank you for watching. I will have one up tomorrow talking about the stupid, Fox segments, different, like, just different interviews people have, that are going on. And I hope you show up. That's my Christmas wish. I don't think you're interrupting Winter Fresh. It's just, you've been disappearing for so long, and I haven't seen you. And I got so excited when you showed up. Oh man, it was so great. I hope you show up tomorrow, even though, the what do you call it, the recidivism rate of people showing up in like consecutive streams is like really low. So it is what it is. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.